Hi, I'm Scott Lowe. I am an author and speaker and participant in the VMware community. VCDX, as you can tell by the shirt, and vExpert, 3 years running. I have 3 books on the market currently, and a 4th one coming out on October 11th. Not as fast as some people wanted, but still coming out. And just an overall supporter of the VMware community to try and give back to the community and support people what's going on. So, and a blog and tweet and that kind of thing too. So. Yeah, I have 2 sessions going on. One session is running 3 times. We already did it once this morning to a fairly large crowd, and the feedback so far was positive. That one is on vSphere design, so it's sort of a follow-up session from the book that I published with Forbes Guthrie and Meshach Keesing earlier in the year, the VMware vSphere design. And that is also being repeated tomorrow afternoon at 5:30, so on Tuesday at 5:30 and then Wednesday morning at 9:30 as well. So I'm very excited about that. And I have the honor of participating in the Ask the Expert vBloggers, I think is the term that they're using, session tomorrow at noon. So on that panel will be myself, Chad Sakich, Duncan Epping, Frank Denneman, and moderated by Rick Shear. So a lot of popular names in that one. That'll be fun. Right, yeah. So Mastering VMware vSphere 5 will be a follow-on to the vSphere 4 book that we released at VMworld 2009. It will, same sort of tack, a comprehensive review of all the features that are in the product, not a super technical deep dive, because you just can't do that in this broad of a product. You really can't cover all those features in great depth, but enough that you get a good understanding of what the features are, what you can do with them, how you would use them, how they're going to impact your business, that kind of stuff. And then furthermore, if you want the really nuts and bolts nitty gritty stuff, then Frank and Duncan both have a book on clustering that they just recently published, and there will be some others coming along from VMware Press that we're looking forward to from folks that I know at VMware that will be excellent resources. But this is intended to get everybody up to speed on vSphere 5, get you comfortable with the new features, look at some of the differences from 4 to 5, just make sure that you kind of have a good overall review of what's happening with the product, where it's going, what's changed, that sort of thing. We had really hoped to have it out for VMworld, because having it here with the big announcements and all that would have been great, but given the timeline and the release schedule for the product itself, we had to make sure that we had everything correct and up to date, so we had to wait until the code was finalized and then we have that production lag where they have to actually go print the books that everybody likes to carry around, and so our estimated availability date is October 11th, which means it will be available for VMworld EMEA, and I hope to actually have some copies at VMworld EMEA. So, if this video makes it out to our European friends who are going to VMworld EMEA, then I may be giving out copies. So we'll see. So, if they're an existing VCP, they're probably pretty well versed in the product. So there are some training classes, to my knowledge, that VMware will be releasing. So a what's new from vSphere 4 to vSphere 5 course. And then I understand that there's this other company that's just going to releasing a vSphere 5 training, Train Signal. I hear some good things about them. So, they might be a good resource for people going. I think the big changes that people really need to pay attention to is a lot of people haven't transitioned to ESXi. And as you are probably already aware, vSphere 5 ships only with ESXi. So that's a big thing. If you haven't transitioned to that architecture, you're still used to having the Service Console there, this is going to be something you have to get used to. So start digging into the vSphere Management Assistant, start digging into the VCLI, get comfortable with ESXi. People are also going to want to take a look at storage DRS and how it's implemented, which is a nice new feature, and also profile-driven storage, which allows them to create some VM storage profiles to make sure their VMs are on the right or most appropriate level of storage. Those are the kind of the big highlights. There's lots of changes under the hood with vSphere HA and that kind of thing, but from an operational perspective, if you get your head wrapped around those, you'll be a good ways along towards being ready with vSphere 5. So. I don't know, it's hard to say because I've been working with the product, since early beta, and so I kind of saw all these things coming along, and I had the honor of participating in these meetings with VMware that they do with their top technical partners. So this was in 2008. They were talking about the possibility of doing storage DRS, and they were exploring it with their top partners, saying, does this make sense? What do you think? And so I've kind of known about the idea for a while, But I like a number of things. One, I like the increased scalability. So there's more virtual CPUs per VM, more RAM per VM, more RAM per host. More network throughput, more storage throughput. So they were talking about this number of 1 million IOPS out of a single host with a single VM, which is just absolutely insane, that kind of workload. So it's nice to see VMware kind of finally breaking out of the I can't virtualize that workload because it's too big shell, right? And then all the features around just adding additional automation, additional policy to help people scale to the bigger environments, because that's really where we have to get to new levels of automation and orchestration and policy-based management in order to really be able to reap the benefits of this flexible virtualized infrastructure that we're all building. Because as long as we're still all in managing individual VMs, then we're kind of doing the same thing we were doing before, only now it's all virtual, right? We really need to change the way we're handling IT, change the way we're managing our infrastructure. So I think it's nice to see the changes they've made there, and then the beginnings of some really cool stuff to come down the road. The initial implementation of VASA and profile-driven storage has a really good promise for what it could be in the future. The initial release it's an initial release, right? It's a bit limited, but it's a shadow of things that are yet to come, of things that could be done with it. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. What's next for me? So many people probably know I'm in the midst of relocating from the East Coast to Colorado. So the next literally next thing for me after the conference wraps up is finishing up my move to Denver. So I'm excited about that. Farther out in the year, there's a lot of travel, looking forward to it. So I'm doing some VMUGs in various areas. We'll be up in Toronto in late September. We have VMworld EMEA, of course, in Copenhagen in October. Might be doing some additional European travel, actually tied to Crystal and her spouse Tivity's work. Getting very popular. Some other companies want her to come to Europe and do some stuff. So that might happen. And tentatively still looking at a trip to the New Zealand area in early November to do a virtualization seminar down there, which is nice. And then probably a trip back to Australia in early December to support some more virtualization meetings and community efforts there. So yeah, lots of travel and just lots of giving back to the community, supporting the community and trying to make sure that I can help out people getting into the products, understanding what they are, how to use them, how they can best put them to work for their business, and stuff from there. So.